What if you could become smart, time travel, access the collective knowledge of humanity, live 1,000 different lives, and do all of it without leaving your bedroom? No, I'm not talking about door dashing ayahuasca. I've got something actually better, and every genius in history has used this method. The real reason most of us want to be smarter is to make more money and look good in front of others. Call me pessimistic, but by definition, being smart is a status. The only way to have it is if those around you think you have it. Perception matters. Like, this liver eating freak was perceived by 5% of the internet to be completely natural, which made him a millionaire. Being perceived as stupid is the quickest way to end up at the bottom. Nice guys finish last, and nice dumb guys aren't invited to the race. If people think you're stupid, you'll be paid less at work, turned down by the opposite sex, and have fewer friends. It's an invisible stink that follows you around, and the worst part is that nobody will tell you about it. You'll just get left behind. But fear not. You can start grinding your intelligence stat right now and wake up tomorrow smarter than you are today. It's simple. Just buy a fake pair of glasses. It instantly makes you look 25% smarter. No, but for real, becoming smart isn't about winning the genetic lottery. You can train and improve your brain just like any other muscle. If you break it down, being smart is about problem solving, general knowledge, learning skills, and emotional intelligence. All of these things can be worked on individually. It's just like acting. People think you're either born with talent or you're not. In reality, you could teach Rogan to perform like Reeves, if you were so inclined. All it takes is a commitment to the practice. But what practice exactly? You're gonna need some practical steps, and boy, do I got 'em. Humanity, over thousands of years, has collectively devised the greatest method to pass on our knowledge and improve the minds of each consecutive generation. What is this ancient power? It's reading. Yep, sounds simple, and that's because it is. Passing knowledge on through reading is how we went from hunched over cavemen to hunched over smartphone users. And it's how you'll actually become smarter overnight. As they say, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, and a chapter a day keeps the stupid at bay. Fun fact, did you know Elon Musk read the entire Encyclopedia Britannica by the time he was 9 years old? More than 32,000 pages. What a nerd. So, starting sooner rather than later is in your best interest. Reading has been proven to expand vocabulary and improve comprehension and memory. Do enough of it, and you might actually start retaining some info from that 3-hour binge of Huberman clips you just finished. So, let's say I've convinced you to start reading. Where to begin? Well, people break it down into fiction and nonfiction because they both have their issues. Being an aspiring fiction author myself, I'll let you in on a trade secret. Writers use a trick on you that you probably never even thought of. They only give you half of the picture when they're describing any scene. This forces you to fill in the rest with your imagination. It saves them time and makes you feel more invested in the story, sort of like you're a co-creator. Now, I'm not saying you should tweet J.K. Rowling and ask for credit when you polish off the Harry Potter series, but I am saying that reading fiction improves both your imagination and your emotional intelligence. Fiction is not just for your entertainment. By reading stories from a wide range of sources and pretending you're the hero or the villain, no judgment here, you can gain a greater vocabulary, learn better communication skills, feel like you have friends, and improve your emotional intelligence through fictional empathy. Next up is nonfiction, where you'll learn the problem-solving and practical skills part of being and sounding smart. Fiction might help you make friends, but nonfiction will help you make money. And we all know money is more important than friends. I'm kidding. Kinda. But seriously, if fiction transforms you from a basement dweller to someone people kinda want to hang out with, then nonfiction will get you from there to someone people want to hire. Here is where the rubber meets the road. Being smart and sounding smart will land you a better salary at the next job interview. It's how reading leads to you making more money, and why we should all be doing more of it. But it's all about balance. If you only go with nonfiction, then you'll become factually smart, but sound like a nerd. And if you only read fiction, you'll end up like Rogan, speaking to a lot of smart people and only pretending to know what they're saying. Nonfiction gives you what to say, and fiction tells you how and when to say it. I'm assuming by now you have a book or two in mind, but let's talk about how to actually learn from them. Reading alone won't do it. You need a few more strategies to retain the information and get overnight results. Oh, and I'm saving one bonus golden nugget for the end. Your brain hates to remember things. One time I was in a heated debate about a book with a friend. This guy really seemed to have it all figured out. Every time I'd bring some chapter up, he'd recall entire sentences and spit them back at me, proving my point wrong. It felt like he had the book hidden under the table. I finally asked him how he did it, and he began with, well, on the second reading. I was like, hold up. You people are out here reading books twice? It sounds obvious, but be honest. Can you name a single book that you read cover to cover twice? The fact is that reading a book, especially nonfiction, 2 or even 3 times can dramatically increase your recall, thus sounding more intelligent at an instant. Combine this with a little brain trickery called spaced repetition, where you space out your readings by a month or so, and you'll go from this to this. We all have that one friend who can make up an answer to a question and be more than half right every time. No matter the subject, they can string together some series of sentences that seem believable enough for you not to fact check them. Well, I can tell you how they do it. First, performing this trick requires reading. There's no way around it. You need to take in knowledge from everywhere you can on as many different topics as you can handle. Next is retention. Tactics like active recall, where you perform mini tests on yourself to revise the facts and discover knowledge gaps, will help you with this. The final step in this magic trick is rhetoric, a method of developing arguments created by Aristotle, a famous Greek philosopher. It's a fancy way of saying that you need to be convincing with your words. I'm doing it right now by using words like rhetoric and telling you it came from a famous philosopher. It tricks your brain into respecting me and my thoughts, or as Aristotle would call it, an appeal to authority. One practical way to be convincing with your words is to use terms from the material you read. You may be perceived as smart, or a douche, depending on how you present the information. That's not all you'll need to know if you actually want to become smarter overnight. Reading books about how to make friends and actually making friends are not the same thing. If that was true, I'd have a lot more of them. If you want to take the skills you've learned from reading out into the real world, then you'll need to implement a trick some scientists figured out. We take in and retain more knowledge if we are an active part of the learning process. It's called active learning, and it's why the good teachers make your classes interactive, and the others weren't doing their jobs. Speaking of teachers, I used to have one who always gave us the most annoying exercise. After class, we had to write questions based on the lesson, and then trade the questions with the person next to us. There were an odd number of rows, and I sat next to the wall, and it never came up with any good ones. But still, if, like me, you don't have friends, you can still do it alone. Take the last chapter of your nonfiction book and write a list of questions about it. Then test yourself by answering them. And when it comes time for you to ask it questions back, be sure to tell it to pretend to be extra stupid so that you have to exercise your explainer muscles. As promised, I've saved one huge hack for all of you lovely people who stuck around to the end. Something just as good as reading. Writing. Putting your thoughts down on paper and making arguments will not only make you retain the information faster, but it will force you to think more clearly, make you sound smarter and more articulate. Don't focus on making something you can sell. That will be counterproductive. Focus on writing out what you're thinking and what you remember. In this case, we're just trying to get smarter, not become published. Keep doing this on important topics, and you will be undefeated. So, there you have it. I've given you the best tools to become smarter overnight. If you'd like to make it an even trade, why don't you scroll down and tap that subscribe button for me? Thanks. Go forth and read. It's how you actually become smarter overnight. If you want to learn how to supercharge your learning speed, check out this video right here.